From Fox 13, this is You Decide 2022.
The midterms all come down to tonight.
Months of primaries, expensive campaigns, and ramped up rhetoric for a pivotal election.
The institutions that have held us together as we sought a more perfect union are also at stake.
On the line, control of Congress. Republicans looking to take the House and Senate in a red wave.
How will the nation handle the issues important to Americans?
There are big issues like climate change and women's rights.
Like inflation.
Raising energy prices doesn't help us.
Not having a planet you can live on also hurts the middle class and everybody else.
Crime and gun control.
I'm willing to sit down with anyone at any time to talk about ways to keep illegal guns out of the hands of violent criminals, period. I am. We have to balance that with the rights of law-abiding gun owners in this state and balance it with the Second Amendment protection.
Guns are the #1 cause of death in children in this country. And that is why we need safe gun ownership legislation.
There's a lot of crime and there's just a lot of stuff going on as far as the law and homelessness and things like that.
Abortion.
The Supreme Court's decision gave the power to the people, and that's where I believe it belongs.
I gotta tell you, I was in the Senate. I saw Supreme Court nominees come in front of us and say to us, I'm pro-life, don't worry, and look what happened.
And the resiliency of the electoral process.
The conspiracy that our election system somehow is not fair. It is time for that election denial conspiracy to end.
It's disheartening. It's devastating to myself and to my team to be accused of felonies, because that's what it is.
With razor-thin races, it's expected to take days for every race across the nation to be called.
Washingtonians have made their decisions, and now we start to find out what was decided. Thanks for joining us, and good evening. This is Fox 13's midterm election coverage. I'm David Rose.
And I'm Jamie Tompkins. Candidates are now gathering, waiting for that first round of results to be released. And tonight, joining us in studio are Fox 13 political analysts, Republican Randy Pepple and Democrat Kathy Allen. And so, Randy and Kathy, we want each of you to be able to give us just one sentence about how you expect tonight's results to go. So, Kathy, let's start with you.
Winners, losers. Nobody has a majority. Nobody's going to have the win, the big win that we like to think is going to make it easy. And that's probably good.
Randy, your thoughts?
No big wave, but we don't need one for Republicans to take control of the U.S. House of Representatives, the U.S. Senate, and make gains in Washington state. It's just going to be a moderate election, but that's going to be good things for Republicans.
All right, we'll be getting lots of insight on the election from both of you throughout the night. We have expansive team coverage across Western Washington. We have Hannah Kim and Alejandra Guzman tracking the race for the Democrats. They're live in Bellevue with candidates like Patty Murray and Kim Schreier. Also in Bellevue, Jennifer Dowling and A.J. Janavelle following the races for the Republicans, with Tiffany Smiley and Matt Larkin looking to topple the incumbents.
And with crime being a hot topic this election cycle, Frankie Thompson is detailing the race for King County prosecutor. Brian Jackson is detailing the votes county by county with data analyst Frank Girolami. And first, we want to head out to Hannah Kim.
So, Hannah, what's the vibe like right now at the Murray campaign now that the polls just closed?
Yeah, David and Jamie, it did just close, so it's a matter of just waiting around.
To you in the studio. Jamie, David.
All right, well, we saw a lot of redistricting in Washington this year. Places like the 8th and 9th congressional districts in King County in purple and yellow on your screen, where people may have gone into this election thinking that they were voting for someone completely different.
So let's go now to Fox 13 anchor Brian Jackson. He's joined by Frank Girolami, an expert in how these political campaigns target voters.
Brian, what are you noticing so far tonight? Frank, what are you expecting?
Oh, my goodness. Census triggers nude redistricting. And part of that is the redistricting kind of represents how some of our population shifted. So quite frankly, in the 8th, it shifted farther east because the population within sort of the I-5 corridor has increased. So when we look at these things, what you're going to see is we have very small districts for Jayapal and a few other people sort of in the I-5 corridor because we have a huge population, right? And what we did with the 8th is we actually moved it out farther into the rural areas, and we moved it out to Chelan and some of those areas. So with this redistricting, we're not quite sure what's going to happen. We will have some surprises, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Okay. However, what I really think is that we kind of know how Washington behaves. Most of the congressional districts will turn out the way we expect. And let's hope we have some great races, great surprises, and we have some things left open at the end of the night.
Right. And another thing that we're keeping an eye on tonight, Frank, is the timing and how some of these ballots were actually returned this election.
Sure. So if we go historically, look back, we usually have about a 70% turnout in the state, somewhere in that range. Most people, like in 18, we had a 70% turnout, and it was relatively early in the cycle. What we found this cycle is that we had a little lower turnout until today and yesterday, and that's indicated of Democrats holding on to their ballots, trying to determine who they're going to vote for. So they're holding on until they're sure, and now they've dumped them all on us. Right. So we expect 600,000 more ballots to be counted against what the 2.2 are in the county now, right, or in the state now.
Yeah, we're going to be breaking down those numbers all night long. Back over to you guys.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Let's go through some of the numbers that are coming in now. This is about the time we start to see some election results. Let's start with the race for House District 1, Susan Del Bene and Vincent Cavalieri. We'll pull up the numbers as we go through here. No surprise here, the incumbent Susan Del Bene with a strong lead. Now, if you look in the top right-hand corner, you'll see it says reporting 21%. That's 21% of the vote estimated to be tallied so far, but still a long way to go there. All right, moving on now to the next district.
All right, taking a look here at House District 2, Rick Larson and Dan Matthews. And we can see here Rick Larson, 62%, Dan Matthews with 38% of the vote. And we've also got another map that we want to look at as well, another full screen here of, let's see, House District 3, Marie Gluesenkamp and Joe Kent. And Marie Gluesenkamp Perez, a newcomer with 54%, and Joe Kent at 46%.
I'm just going to ask our analysts to come in here and talk about this real briefly, because this is one of those campaigns that's really had strong feelings. Kathy, what's your reaction to this vote tonight?
Well, it depends on the numbers. I'm looking at them, and it says here 52% reporting. If that means that of the votes that have come in, which is about 50% of the vote, that if half of them are reporting, and here we're looking at exactly what they are, the fact is that that's amazing that Perez is actually showing any kind of a lead with half of the votes in.
We're missing a couple of key counties here. Not all counties have gotten to their drop yet at 8:15. After 8:15, that number's going to change.
All right, but still a strong showing for a candidate who has no political experience, runs a garage. Drum roll. Patty Murray, 58% with 46% of the vote tallied so far. I will lean to the Democratic strategist here and let you have the first word, or ask you to have the first word.
Well, you know, we had a lot of dress rehearsals where we talked about what it would look like if Patty started out at 48 to 42, and I'm going, oh my God, I don't know if I can pass that red face test and say, oh yeah, that's going to be the first response. Seeing it tonight, I have to say I'm cautiously optimistic. I have to say that Washington State has been very good to Democrats, regardless of what the rest of the country is doing. And so I'm seeing in both the Kim Schreier and the Patty Murray campaign, I'm looking at these and I'm going, might not be crying in a beer kind of night after all.
You crying in your beer?
Oh, not at all, because as I look at the map, the statewide map is still missing Snohomish, Pierce, Clark, Spokane, Walla Walla, Yakima, some counties that actually will provide Republican votes to these columns. So I want to see more of the statewide map come in, and then we'll look at it. The fact is, we're still only going to see about half the vote tonight, because it's just what was in hand yesterday is what is being counted right now, and it's what came in today and what will undoubtedly come in tomorrow, Thursday, that will decide these closer races.
Let's go out to Bellevue now.
That's right. We want to go out to Hannah Kim, and Hannah is in Bellevue at Senator Patty Murray's campaign. Hannah, what's the latest tonight?
Yeah, you know, just a second ago, you heard cheers out here at the West End. And if you take a look right here, the crowd, they are galvanized in the last few minutes, because as far as this room is concerned, you guys, they believe that Senator Patty Murray just clinched her 6th term. I know that is not official, but that is the mood here. They're celebrating, they're hugging, because as you guys just said, along with our political analyst, you know, these numbers are trickling in right now. The AP is reporting 56% reporting, and you have Patty Murray in the lead for about 14 to 15% margin. To you.
All right, Hannah, we'll check in with you in just a bit. Right now, we want to send things over to Brian and Frank, because now that we're talking about Smiley and Murray and this race here, we know that you're going to break things down for us county by county with a closer look, a more detailed look at those numbers there on your map.
Now, it's still pretty early in this race for now, but you can see kind of reflected by red some of the counties where Tiffany Smiley is doing well, and you can see where Patty Murray is doing well in the blue. So, Frank, give us an idea of what areas does Tiffany Smiley need to really make up some room in?
So there are a few places that she needs to overperform in terms of the electorate. So one of them is Spokane County. All right, if she can overperform on the turnout there, she can close the gap potentially. Benton County is another one that we were hoping that Dan Newhouse would drag in and maybe get an overperformance there as well. The other counties that we see in gray have a relatively low population, right? They will probably go Republican, but I can't tell you by what margin yet.
All right, we want to take you back out live to one of our reporters, Jennifer Dowling. She is live with the Tiffany Smiley campaign. Jennifer, what's the latest update?
Well, it's very loud out here, and people are very excited. They're still excited for the Smiley campaign, even though Murray appears to be ahead. We have a look at the crowd here. It's packed in here, and it's very, very energetic. The crowd is energized. They're listening to some of the results here from speakers at the podium. And although Smiley is down right now to Murray, you know, the speakers here are saying early voting always favors the other party. The speakers have told the crowd, quote, "Don't be discouraged. We will be counting ballots for days to come. We never know on election night." The GOP is doing a tremendous job in Washington. So
two more races that have been called. The Associated Press is calling it for Adam Smith. So Adam Smith, no surprise there, will be returning to Washington.
And also Pramila Jayapal as well. Again, not a surprise.
Yeah. So at this point, we don't have any huge surprises right now, and that's why I said that the trend is leading. I guess I know we said the Republicans are going to come in late. We've seen the ballots are just, I mean, the drop-off boxes in places are just packed tonight. Some of them are even overly stuffed. People had to go to different locations. We know those are a lot of Republican voters that are voting late. But the math still just doesn't work out, does it?
No, and it doesn't make you feel good. I mean, frankly, it's a little bit like the August primary, where Republicans were expected to do better in several districts around the state. And as the numbers came in, they said, gosh, those are a lot lower than we thought they'd be. It must be because our voters are holding on to their ballots. And in some cases, there were a couple races that did come back, but not all of them. And that's, frankly, the undercurrent right now I'm seeing in Washington State. It's a status quo election.
Right now, we want to get live out to Senator Maria Cantwell. She's actually speaking right now, so let's listen in.
So Washington voters know the difference between rhetoric and reality, and the reality is Patty Murray's going to keep working for us in the United States. Your senator, my friend, a champion of workers, a champion of everyone, Patty Murray. Oh my God, thank you. You guys, we did it. We did it.